Please.
Life is precious. I think we would all agree. But often we find that we take the very things that we do every day in life for granted until something happens in a blink of an eye. Hello, I'm Tom Russo, and this is In a Blink of an Eye, where we discuss stories from everyday, ordinary people whose lives are changed in an instant and how they overcome through faith, courage, and determination. Join me on this podcast for uplifting stories of how people face various challenges and learn to not only survive, but thrive. In a Blink of an Eye is sponsored by Marketplace.live. Find what you need and get what you want. Or is it find what you want and get what you need at Marketplace.live? That's Marketplace.live. Now, I have a couple of announcements today. I normally don't do this, but first and foremost, I know you'll have seen on my intro that I have a brand new logo, and I'm so excited. My daughter owns a branding company, and she was in town with my grandkids this last week, and she said, "Dad, you've got to get a new logo. Yours is horrible. You got to do something about it." And so she designed one for me, and so I hope you guys love it. And she even changed the colors. I was with red, and she wanted green, and says it was better with green. So I hope that's cool. That's my new logo. Secondly, for all of my followers and subscribers, I'm sure you'll notice that I'm actually wearing a contact today. Now, if you saw my first episode, you know that I wore contacts for 42 years because I got teased mercilessly as a kid about my glasses because my eyesight's always been so bad. And so when this happened, I had to go to wearing glasses just so I could see. I've been self-conscious about that, and I got cleared 2 days ago by my eye doctor to be able to wear my contacts. So I still can't see out of my left eye, but I can wear my contacts. So I'm really excited. This is my first public outing with my contact on. So our guest today gets to see that. I'm still trying to adjust with the contact because it's a little bit. In fact, I'm going to have to use my cheaters here to see my notes. But also wanted to give an update on our last guest, Cheryl Sawyers. If you'll recall, she was studying and beginning a program for grief counseling. And she has started that road. She contacted me 2 days ago to let me know she's started that road. She's really excited and wanted our listeners to know that. So I'm very excited about that. We also just went up to our first uh, level in subscribers. So please mark that subscribe button wherever you see it. That's a big help to me and it helps spread the word. And lastly, I got the sad news today that a family friend that was like family of ours passed away yesterday. And uh, his name's John Houston. It's my godmother's husband, and he very much in our thoughts and prayers. So I wanted to definitely take the time to mention that. That being said, I am thoroughly excited to introduce Darlene Donovan. Darlene, thank you for joining us today.
Oh, I'm so glad to be here, Tom. Thanks for having me.
And Darlene is a graduate of Clear Creek High School, like myself and several of the guests that we've had. And I'm so excited to have her aboard with us and to tell her story. And she's had several things that have come up through life, like we all have, but they've thrown her a curveball a few times. And I want her to share her story. But like we always do, Darlene, tell us a little bit about where you were born, where you grew up, your
Sure.
family. Tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. Okay, for all you wildcats out there, it was Darlene Jackson. So I married a boy from Nebraska, Patrick. He's the love of my life. We've been married for 30 years. We have two wonderful adult children. I have my son Riley and his wife Brooke, my daughter-in-law, and then my granddaughter Emma, and then my daughter Shelby and her boyfriend, one day to be husband, Thomas. They are in Dallas, and Brooke and Riley, they are down in Texas City. So we raise the kids. in the League City area. Both kids went to Clear Springs High School, and that was home for me. I love being
Did
on the
he play
water by
football
the
by
beach.
chance?
Pardon?
Did he play
Yes,
football by
he
chance?
played football, and she was on the drill team.
Okay, well,
So
I am
yeah,
certain then that I officiated a couple of their games because I know my crew had a couple of Clear Springs games, so, I was down there. I
absolutely.
I remember, Ken and Stephanie Foreign, I don't know if you know them, but they had, family, I believe, that went there as well. Anyway, I
Just a
digress.
great community, just a
Yes.
great community.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
absolutely. And so, while we were talking earlier, I think my first blink of an eye moment, I tell my story about my walk with Jesus, right? Because we have
Absolutely.
these, as Christians, we talk about, we're sinners, right? We're not perfect. He died on the cross for us, right? So he could wash away our sins so we can be closer to God. And
Amen.
so,
Yes.
I'm going to tell you, I wasn't walking really close to God up until the time I was about 35 years old. I got a diagnosis of having rheumatoid arthritis, which was very crippling at the age of 30 years old. My daughter was, I think, maybe a year old, 2 years. Riley, he was 3 or 4 years old, and you
Toddlers,
know,
toddlers.
terrible, yeah, and terrible disease. You can't get down on the
No.
floor, you can't lift your arms. And it's like, what is going on? And I got in the rut, Tom. I got had a why me moment,
And
for a
it's
long
so
time.
easy to fall into, Darlene. I
It
I
is.
know I did too, and a lot of my guests, shared that same despair, that same, "Why, God? Why is this happening to me?" And you have that pity.
Absolutely, absolutely. I was working at a little firm called Gray Star. You may have heard of it. They are now the largest multifamily operators in the globe. But back then, we were small, we were little bitty. And I got really sick at work, didn't know what was going on. So I took the summer off. I had FMLA, and I had a colleague call me, and her name is Marcia. I'm not going to say her last name, but that phone call snapped something for me, and it sounds like a cliche, but she said, "Darlene, you have to let go and let God."
And
And
I've
I thought,
always loved that statement, and
I
and
love
a
it was
and it
so
and it
powerful in the
it
moment.
it kinda slaps you in the face, doesn't it?
It
It it
did.
it
It
it really
did.
did.
It did.
That's and I'm not glad that you were ill or in that position, but
Yeah,
I'm so glad that you had this friend that was able to let you know the blessings of God are out there, and we don't
she
know
she
why
did.
we're hit with these challenges. Um, Go
She
on.
did.
That's
She did.
fantastic though that you've got that.
So, yeah, and that summer, we looked for a new church. We went to church, we went through the motions, but we just didn't feel the presence, right? If that makes sense. So we found Clear Creek Community Church. My mom said, go find a non denominational church. The leaders of the church usually retire, they don't move around like another church that we were attending, where the pastors move around every
Like a
couple of years.
carousel, yes.
Yeah, like a carousel. It's hard to get in community that way. And so we went to Clear Creek Community Church. We fell in love, and we weren't there, but I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 months. And they said, all right, we need y'all to leave the church. And we thought, what? Yep. If you live on the west side of League City, we need you to leave this church and we need you to go make a new church. And we're like, I don't know what that means. We did it. We were one of the first 50 families that started the West Campus for Clear Creek Community Church.
Isn't that
And
kind of exciting to
it was
start a
exciting.
faith community from scratch?
It was. It was exciting. We were in the high school, we were in a junior high, we were in an elementary school, and now they finally have, their own building, which I'm super excited for. I'm no longer living in Lake City. I'm in New Braunfels now, but it's just wonderful to see how far they've come. But, what it meant for us in raising our children, my husband and I, we became youth ministry leaders, and boy, just a passion for the kids, and I led junior high
Oh,
girls
I
and
I
took
know
and
the
took them
junior
through
high
high school,
kids.
right? I
It
took
takes
them
a
to ju
special person to work with junior high
doesn't
children.
it? That's what my mama always says, "Are you crazy?" I said, "Maybe just a little bit." I went back and I looked at my senior book. You remember those senior books we got in,
Yes.
high school? And it said, "What do you wanna be when you grow up?" And I said, "I wanna be on Saturday Night Live." That was always, like, my longing. So, I asked God, "What are my gifts?" Well, I can be crazy enough to lead some junior high and high school girls to Jesus, and
You
so
needed it. God bless
there
you for
there you
that. That
go.
is so swell. I had that same passion for the junior high kids in my teaching career, so I understand.
Yeah.
And it's a hard one, but it's
Yeah.
worth it.
It is. It is so worth it, and our kids were active members, and we really enjoyed, just being able to see them. Well, here comes another blink of the eye moment. So my girls were at Victory Lakes, and then my partner, she took care of, I think it was Creekside. So there were two junior highs that funneled into the West Campus. Well, my nephew went to Victory Lakes. He was diagnosed with leukemia,
Oh,
and
Lord.
so that was really tough on our family.
He
My
was young
brother-in-law, my
too, wasn't he? Like 10
young,
or
well, yeah,
11?
11, yeah, 11 years old, and so
Bless his heart.
my brother-in-law and sister-in-law, Mike and Kathy, spent all their time at the hospital, of course, battling the disease, and, we took care of my niece, Allison, during that time, and, unfortunately, we lost him the day after Easter,
Lord.
and
And
so
that's tough. I mean,
it's to lose a child, it's not natural, Tom. It's not the natural order, and our
no.
families are very, very close, and to be able to console your children in that, but not
How old were
just
your kids at the time that that happened?
my kids. Well, I gotta tell you a story, and then we'll backtrack. My daughter was trying out for a drill team. She was in 8th grade and had to try out for drill team the week that Evan died, and she was one of 3 girls that made that drill team that week.
Oh, wow.
And I remember her coming out, and I said, if she made it, I'm gonna be happy. If she didn't make it, it's gonna be okay. It wasn't meant to be. And I hear her running, and she's like, "Mama, I did it for Evan." And she was one of 3 girls out of all of the girls that
I've
were
got
trying out for
goosebumps
that
talking
drill
about
team.
that. That's so
She was one
cool.
of 3 freshmen that made that drill team. And
That's
so it was,
fantastic.
I look at her overcoming, the tragedy that happened in the blink of an eye in that week. We thought Evan was going to come home on Friday. He was doing well. And then just all of a sudden, it flipped. But going back to the girls and having to explain to my girls that I was leading in the church at that time, because they have a lot of questions. They question their faith. They want to know, why does God take a child? And my
I
answer is
understand.
always going to be, we don't ever know why, we don't ever know when, but we know when God wants us, He's going to take us, and we have to have that faith, right? That Evan did what he needed to do on earth, and it was just his time. As sad as it is,
It
but
is. It's so much harder on those left behind because
absolutely,
because we're left with the questions why. He's in
absolutely,
paradise, and his race was run and his mission well served,
yes,
and it's hard for us, and it doesn't always have to be death. We talked earlier about the why me syndrome,
yeah,
and I came to grips. The way I came to grips with it was, for whatever reason, God wants me with one eye right now, and God wants me to be able to share the blessings of the world with everyone, and how to
wow,
overcome. And so, uh,
yeah,
we don't understand. I don't understand why God took my sight away and made me leave teaching. I don't, and I certainly know you and your family don't understand why Evan had to leave this earth, and
yeah.
we'll probably never understand that till we get to heaven. But we are comforted with the knowledge that he ran his race and is in paradise.
Absolutely, absolutely. Our selfishness doesn't see it at the time.
Right.
But I just remember being in my kitchen in League City and all my girls coming over and they're asking Miss Darlene why, and I thought, yeah, I just prayed. I said, God, you need to help me speak to these girls and help me minister to these girls, even no matter what I'm going through. It doesn't matter because I need to be able to let the girls know that job well done, Evan, right? Job
Right.
well done. So, you know, and our family's stronger. We've come together, but it's not the natural order when you lose a child. It never is. I still miss him every day, and the kids miss him, and but we know where he is, and to me, that's all that matters. Is
And his
I know when
spirit's
I'm going to
still
see him
here.
again.
His spirit
Yeah,
is still with us
absolutely.
and leading us and helping us and guiding us, and that's wonderful to hear from that perspective. I think that gives us some solace,
Yeah.
when we have deaths. I think it helps.
Me too. We spent a lot of time. I will tell you, I think my son he was a sophomore in high school at the time. And I want to say that that might have been a precious moment as well. The night that Evan died, we were up at the hospital and my son got in the bed with Evan. I don't know what he said to him, but I know they were talking. And, you know, I know in that moment, I think my son had just a deeper relationship with Jesus, and he continued his relationship through to the student ministry at Texas State. And now he is a member of Clear Creek Community Church, and he is a student ministry leader as
Coming full
well.
circle. What a
Coming full
blessing.
circle. And he and his wife are starting a new campus. They just started a new
So it'll be a
campus.
third campus for them.
Well, it's just going to be I think it's a fourth
A
campus
fourth
now. So
campus.
it's down in the
Oh, what true blessings. Oh,
Dickinson area. So, I mean, wow, I just, am amazed to see how God works in all of us, right? And I think
absolutely.
um that's one thing that's just been a joy to see
Well,
him working
I
in
know you
us.
mentioned that you moved to New Braunfels. Tell me a little bit
Sure did.
about what happened to make you move there, and I know something big kinda happened once you got there as well.
I sure did. I sure did. So, I was a member of a gym down in Dickinson called Delta Life Fitness, and I fell in love with the business model. And I thought, I've opened up all these apartment communities and built these apartment communities over the years. I know I can do a gym, if I've done apartment communities. And I loved the positive community of women. And I love how they support it was a gym just for women. The founder discovered while he was at Texas A&M that when he was
I'm supposed to
teaching these
whoop. Whoop.
I know, whoop, whoop, right? He was
I'm a
teaching the
TED grad,
classes,
but I live in College Station, so
right, right. He was teaching the classes to women, and when men started showing up to the training, the women quit going full out. And so he decided that he would pay to have the men go elsewhere and start Delta Life Fitness. And so I thought that was a really good story. So we fell in love with the business model, and I said, "Well, how? This is a franchise. How can I join in?" And so we bought the Hill Country area, and we said, "Well, this will be our empty nest plan." So we get up here to New Braunfels
beautiful
and
area.
start construction up the gym, and it was, spring of, 2020, what was going on, and so we
Yes.
got our certificate of occupancy from the fire marshal, and the next day, the governor shut us down. So, yeah, you talk about heartache, and we're talking about life savings that went into the gym and 401k and house equity and all the things. And, we just weren't prepared with what COVID was going to bring to us. And I don't even think the government was prepared for it, Tom, because the help was provided, but for business owners that were already in business. There
So it
was a
didn't
gray
affect it didn't
area.
help you.
there was no help for people opening their business, so yeah, it was just and I have to look back during the time when I'm in it. I got depressed, I was down, I cried all the time. I mean, I couldn't even function. I didn't even work out while I
What
was a gym
what did you
owner.
do to ultimately get out of that?
We had to file bankruptcy. Yeah. So you're talking to someone that had perfect credit her whole life and having to file bankruptcy in her 50s, So it's starting over from scratch, right? And
Now, did you ever get
yeah.
the gym open or
We did get it open, yeah, and I stayed in it for, almost 4 years. I stayed
okay.
in it almost 4 years, and, when we shut it down, we had to shut it down fast because lawsuits can happen when you own a business, and slips, trips, and falls, and all the things, can happen just really, really fast. So our attorney said, "Shut it down fast." So we did. I think it was like the day after Thanksgiving, we had to shut it down, and I paid my whole team through to New Year's Day and refunded all the money. I did all the right things. Did all the right things.
And that's
And just
wonderful that you did that.
you have to. You have to be that way. We never cash flowed while we were there. And it's just something that it was just devastating and heartbreaking to me because I have never failed in business in my life. I've been an executive in multifamily operations for a long time, and I
Well,
didn't know what failure looked like in business.
I understand that. Not a lot of people know that my wife and I have owned a sports memorabilia store and we owned a candy store. And similar
Yeah,
stories, not COVID wise, but other issues. When we had my sports memorabilia store, I had an employee that had sticky fingers that stole from us
yeah,
tremendously and ultimately shut us down because of all the
yeah,
things he stole. And that was a heartbreaker for me because, well, you could see
yeah.
around me,
I know.
I'm a huge
You do
sportsman.
things because 'cause you're passionate, right?
Right.
I mean, for me, it was a way to empty nest and retire. It was not a get rich,
No,
um,
no, absolutely not.
scheme at all. It was a
it's a
passion.
passion
It was a passion calling.
that you
Yeah,
want to share with people, but you have to make enough to sustain. When
yeah,
my wife and I opened up our Candy Bouquet franchise in the Houston area, we did okay.
yeah.
But we were used to two professional salaries. I had been a banker
Right,
and my wife is a pharmacist, a clinical pharmacist. And so we went from making a very good living to making $3 an hour.
right.
And, so I understand those struggles that you're talking about. I remember conversations with customers coming in our candy store and saying, because we sold gourmet candy and made them into beautiful bouquets and things for different occasions,
Sure,
but sometimes people would come in just to buy candy. But they would come in and they would complain, oh, this Hershey bar is 75 cents here. Well, I can get it at Walmart for 50 cents. Well,
sure.
of course you can, because Walmart can buy 10 billion of them and I can only
That's
buy one
right.
box.
That's right.
People need to understand the small business model, and sometimes I don't
They
think they
do.
do.
And
But
there's a
anyway,
risk. There's a
yeah,
risk to
it
it
is, but it's
when
also a
you
passion. I'm very entrepreneurial,
for
as
sure.
it sounds like you are too. So you go through this bankruptcy, you have your gym for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
Um, Tell me about where you're at now from a success story, because I know you are happy. I know you're happily married and you've got a
Yes.
grandchild, you said, so I'm excited about
I
that
do.
for you.
I do. My grandchild, Emma, she is the love of my life. I never thought I could love somebody more than my children and my husband. But boy, Tom, I'm telling you,
Isn't
she
that
is the
cool?
apple of my eye. I know. I know.
Well, I've got 2 grand boys and we've got a granddaughter on the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I'm gonna give you my last blink of an eye instance.
Okay.
So Emma was born in January of 2024, and my one of my best friends, Lisa, was murdered out on site at an apartment community in Houston
No.
2 weeks later. She was shot in the head. Yeah, during the middle of the day, and I was on a Zoom call, and I get a phone call. I'm on a Zoom call with my team, and I get word. And I'm gonna tell you, I think God works in mysterious ways. My husband still works down in Houston. He works for Dow Chemical, so we're a commuter couple. And he said, "I'm coming home. You can't be home alone." I said, "No, you got to go to the property. You got to be there. Michael is there. The police aren't telling him anything. We don't know anything yet. We didn't know if she was dead or alive yet." But I said, "Her husband is there, and Michael doesn't know anybody there, and he's alone." And my husband showed up to the property. He wasn't there 5 minutes, and then the police came over and told Michael that Lisa
That
had
is
been killed.
that is
And
so
so I
horrible.
do believe in tragedy, there are still God moments, right, Tom?
Absolutely,
And
yes.
and thankful that Pat was there, that someone was there that Michael knew and felt comforted by, and wasn't alone in that moment. Pat got on the phone and told Lisa's parents what had happened. I was working for a firm that I had the luxury to be able to work from anywhere. And I was so thankful to my team and my boss. His name was Jordan Goforth. When I was working for the firm, the name of the firm was ResProp, and they were so supportive during that moment. And I'm still grateful to them to this day, even though I don't work for them. Um, I was able to be with them and support Michael and the family, helped with the funeral, helped write the obituary. Me and her other best friend, Suzanne, we were able to, just plan all the things that you never think you're going to have to plan. But I got to tell you, my health was terrible. I was overweight. I was depressed. And I looked at myself and I said, "You can't live life like this anymore, Darlene. You have to do better. If not for yourself, you have to do it for Emma. And then you have to do it for Lisa, because Lisa was a grandma and she was a fantastic killer grandma. I mean, she was full of energy, she was full of life. And, her grandchildren were everything to her. And so I flipped the script on my health and started baby stepping some things to improve
So
and to get my
so
energy back.
so that's almost a stare in the mirror moment.
It was.
Where
Yeah.
you're like, "Look, that's not gonna cut it. It's not gonna get you." I kinda had that myself with the eye thing was I no pun intended, I'm looking at myself in the mirror and I'm like, I can't go around being pitying myself. I can't do that.
You
I owe
can't.
it to my wife, my kids, my grandkids, my friends, my students, my colleagues to give life the 100%, and it certainly sounds like you rang that bell as well.
It went off, just like a shot in the dark. I'm telling you, it just something your mind has got to be right, but moreover, when I think about that, you got to be right here and here, also to walk that walk with Jesus too, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
so, losing the gym, I was in that woe is me mindset again, doing these peaks and valleys, and just learn to love the Lord again, and that's so important. So
It
yeah,
is.
here we are, and you and I get connected after all these however many years from high school.
It is brief time, brief time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I will tell you, I have exited the multifamily industry for a little bit. I have decided to go a different path. I love coaching teams. I love coaching people.
Cool.
Um, I enjoy helping people to elevate their lives. And I thought the gym was the way to do it, but I've tapped into all my leadership skills. I've been an executive in a space that's been really tough. Real estate, multifamily real estate is tough industry. And they're definitely in a down cycle. So I'm not in that industry right now. I just completed and got certified for high performance coaching. So
Good for you.
I'm hoping that in next year that I can coach for myself as an entrepreneur versus coaching for, corporate America. And so I'm looking forward to that
How
for sure.
exciting is that?
I know.
That is a true blessing, and if you can believe it, we've actually hit our 30 minutes.
It's
I know
fantastic.
time flies
It
when you're having
flew. It
fun.
flew by. Absolutely.
We had a lot of great conversation. Um, Let me kind of wrap it up here and then hang on the line and we'll talk off camera as well.
Sure.
But let me wrap it up real quick and we'll go from there. If you like hearing uplifting stories of overcoming challenges in life, click the like and subscribe button. Like I said, I never know where it's at, so find it somewhere and please hit it. Perhaps you have a story of your own to share, an accident, sudden loss, PTSD, alcohol, drug abuse, a natural disaster, illnesses, and you would like to share that journey of overcoming. Please contact me at the email shown below, and I know it'll be there because I'll put it there. The email shown below for consideration for a future podcast interview. I rely on viewers like you to share their stories. Thanks again to Marketplace.live for their continued sponsorship to bring these great stories to all of us. Marketplace.live. Find what you want and get what you need. I want to thank everyone out there, especially my family, our military on this, the day before Veterans Day, all the veterans and first responders who put their lives on the line every day. And we can't forget our teachers who are dear and dear to my heart, and medical professionals who all make the world better one person at a time. But most of all, thank God for all the blessings in our world. We just need to make sure that we concentrate on those blessings every single day. Until next time, my friends, carpe diem, seize the day.